Hey everybody, hope it's going well. This is a bit of a follow-up to the announcement and overview I did of the recently announced Planet Zoo Conservation Pack. It's been a few days and they've released some new screenshots, but what's cool is that these screenshots didn't come by surprise. They actually released a roadmap as to the order in which these new screenshots were going to be revealed. So with that being said, everyone say hello to Steve. And Steve says, I'm Planet Zookeeper Steve, why not join me as my intern as I get us ready for the conservation pack? Here's our to-do list, there's lots to do, so let's jump in. So yeah, this is a really, honestly genius way of releasing the new screenshots this time, essentially having us follow behind the character of Keeper Steve and seeing these new screenshots day by day as if we were actually there, which relates to the theme of the pack being conservation and how keepers are out there helping save these animals. But yeah, in this video, I'm just going to be going over these 5 new screenshots that have been revealed so far at the time of me recording. And before we begin, I just want to say apologies in advance if I sound kind of nasally. I am sick right now, but I'm not letting that stop me from talking about these screenshots, so let's begin. Alright, so first up we have to feed the Przewalski's horse. Now just know some of these screenshots I'll have more to say on than others. This one, I don't have quite as much to say on. I mean, we've already seen the Przewalski's horse and this is just another really cool photo follow-up for them. And they look, of course they still look awesome. They are really a beautiful animal. I'm so happy to have another equid in game. We really needed one. And yeah, goddamn, it just looks so cool. It looks so cool. Now, what people are really taking away from this screenshot is actually the plants more than anything. Just the ground foliage here is, it's amazing. We have been wanting and waiting for more lush grass foliage for such a long time, combined with lots of flowers as well that we're seeing down here. It just, it looks so good. I know everyone can't wait to get their hands on the foliage, but I think in this screenshot the foliage takes the cake. But of course the Przewalski's horse is still nice to see, and you can kind of see a couple more in the background. You can see them feeding them. I guess for me, what I'm most curious to see about the Przewalski's horse right now is actually their tail movements, and just to see they got a pretty luscious tail back there. That's not a phrase I thought I'd be saying this morning, but yeah, no, that's a pretty luscious tail, and I want to see what it looks like, because it's always been interesting to see the texturing, the fur texturing and hair texturing in this game, and it looks pretty good on the majority of the horse, but that tail back there, I just want to see how much flow is in it, when we just see the animal walk around. I'm not expecting it to be like the most perfectly 3D animated hair. It's just not going to be, but it's still, as long as it still looks nice. Another thing I'm looking forward to seeing with the Przewalski's horse is the animations. Just what are they going to do to help separate it from the other equid we have, which would be zebras. The zebras are honestly perfectly fine in my opinion, and I'm not expecting the Przewalski's horse to be anything vastly different to that, but it'd be nice if they did something. I'm sure they could do something other than just the model, but I guess we'll have to see. It'll probably just take the basic, that basic ungulate rig, and that's alright. It really just comes down to how it visually looks at the end of the day more than anything, and as we've already seen, they've absolutely nailed it. But yeah, beautiful animal, beautiful screenshot too of the foliage. I don't have a whole lot else to say on this one. It was just a nice follow-up to the announcement of the pack. Let's go ahead and move on to day 2, where we are watering the flowers. And here it is, watering the flowers. Now, oh boy, this is, I know for anyone out there who is a genuine fan of the foliage in this game, this pack and this screenshot alone will get you so excited, because, I mean, this is just amazing. It's kind of funny, I never thought about having sunflowers in this game. It already felt like something we may have had, but I guess we did not. We do not have sunflowers until now, and it's just really cool to see them there. You forget how big sunflowers are. They are massive, well, for flower standard. So seeing sunflowers and a variety of other plants. I know poppies were going to be another one. I'm not a plant expert, not at all. I know my animals, I do not know my plants, but this looks amazing. I want to put my finger down on what environment this is, or I should say where it is. I guess this would be the edge of the Mongolian steppe, which is I think where all of this is taking place within the context of the pack. But of course, this is more like a nice temperate taiga environment. It's absolutely beautiful. I cannot wait to build the meadows. Also, very impressed with that river. They built that. Usually, Frontier doesn't build such detailed sources of water and hills, but that looks good. Whoever made this, props to them. And also, you can see some of the new plants. You can see another tree. You see a new tree in the background. Sorry, that this tree right here. These trees. I believe those are the Korean pines. I could be wrong, but I know it's a new tree of some kind. So, and the bridge looks cool, a very green and of course eco-friendly looking. Yeah, no, this is a really cool screenshot. It definitely captures the feeling of this pack, at least the more wild parts of this pack. Very beautiful. I don't have a whole lot else to say. I'm mostly here to talk about the animals. So let's move on. Alright, we are on to the third day, and we are going to be giving some new enrichment to the Scimitar Horned Oryxes. Now, before we talk about the animals, I want to briefly talk about new enrichment, as I did mention it. One thing that this pack does seem to be lacking in is new enrichment. Usually with every pack they do specify it in the description of the pack, at least on Steam, and I don't recall them doing it this time. Not really that much, except for one thing, and that is with the Siamings. They are, in fact, getting the new, our modular arboreal enrichment item, or whatever it is exactly, where they're going to be able to brachiate and type rope, and that's cool, and that makes sense, because of all the animals in this pack that's going to have new enrichment, it's going to be the Siamings. They're pretty much the only new animal. Everything else we're getting has been done before. We already have an Oryx, we already have an Equid, and we already have multiple large cats, and of course, really wouldn't be anything new with the Axolotls. So it's funny that they mention new enrichment items with the Scimitar Horned Oryx, but I don't suspect it. I think one thing that this pack will lack a bit in is new enrichment items for our animals, and honestly, that's okay. Every single pack they do, that we always get new enrichment items, and I'm kind of okay with them, like, chilling out a little bit with them, at least for this pack. We're already getting tons of new props and tons of new plants and scenery in general, and I just, it's okay if there's a limited amount of a limited amount of new enrichment items this time, if any, other than just the new arboreal one. But that does seem to be the only one. That's the only one I remember them. That's the only one I remember them specifying. But again, it's kind of funny they mention new enrichment items with the Oryxes, but I would not count on it. But other than that, like, just getting away from that now, talking about the animals themselves, as I had mentioned in my overview of the pack, I love these guys, the Scimitar Horned Oryxes. They are beautiful. I have a bit of a connection with them because my local zoo, the Brevard Zoo, that has been my local zoo for a long time now, and I'm actually working there. They have a herd of these guys, and not every zoo in America can say they have them, but like, it's kind of special to have Scimitar Horned Oryxes, knowing their backstory and everything. But it's great to see. Every time I go to the zoo, I see a whole herd of them, and I was just there yesterday, and I have this footage for you guys. Here's the footage of the Oryxes, the Oryx herd they have. Yeah, beautiful group of individuals. These guys have been like moving around their whole expedition Africa. First they were out on the train yard with the camels, and then eventually they moved over to the main giraffe exhibit, the big exhibit, and now they've just been chilling with the rhinos for a while. And they're awesome. Now there is one big difference between them and the Planet Zoo version that people have noticed, and that is the darkness in the chest to neck area. That whole brown patch that you can see right here, it does seem to be darker than usual. Now, I think just in this screenshot right here, it's a combination of shadowing as well as potentially color variation. I really hope there is color variation. I hope sometimes we get darker browns like this, and then most of the time we get the lighter browns that clearly they're still going to have, because if you look back at the old screenshot, they still have that lighter brown coloring at the front, which seems more accurate. So I think it is just like either color variation as well as shadowing in the screenshot that makes that look darker. But I did see some people pointing it out, thinking, oh, wait a second, maybe they messed up on the coloring. I don't think they messed up on it. I think it just happens to be, these individuals right here that have darker coloring, and as well as I said, the shadowing in the screenshot. But getting past that, of course, they look fantastic. I love their horns, and I love how, of all the oryx species, which I think there's only 4, each one has each one has a different way the horns go. These guys, their horns curve back. Meanwhile, the Gemsbok's horns are more like straight back. more, yeah, just more straight. So that's one big difference you can tell between the two, as well as the coloring. But yeah, they look really cool. The last thing I want to mention about the screenshot before we move on is the face. In this face, I like it, but I definitely see some characterization. I see some stylization that Planet Zoo has honestly always had. Some animals look more realistic than others. Something with their ungulates, and especially with like African ungulates, they always make them look a little bit more characteristic, or not always actually. Some look more serious and realistic, like the sable antelope, for example, is like a really dead set look, but then like I look at this and it reminds me of like the Springboks all the way from the base game. The Springboks have a kind of similar characteristic face like this. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks like the Oryx is smiling. The eyes are like, there's like a little bit of a glimmer in there. I don't know what it is, but they just make the animals have a little, some animals just happen to have a little bit more emotion in their face. And I'm not against that. I'm okay with a variety of faces. It's just characterization and it's unique to the game. And again, not every animal is going to have that, but I'm fine with it, and especially an animal like this, where I do have an actual care and attention to them. I want to see scimitar horned oryxes make a comeback in the wild. We all do, but to have them here and have them have such a beautiful sort of characteristic face, I think works. But yeah, no, it's a great screenshot. Beautiful plants. You can see the people in the far background, and these guys look happy. Cannot wait to put them in my zoos and just take a look at them. But yeah, so I don't have anything else to say. Let's just go ahead and move on to the fourth and second last day. And on to the fourth day, we have just, a really cool look at some more of the props and the pieces in this pack. I love, right off the bat, I just want to say I love how the air conditioning unit pieces up here are finally actual pieces and don't have to be built anymore. I just think of like Ricey's old custom ventilation system, which I always used and I think was great, but it's still nice to have the actual pieces. The actual guttering itself also looks really cool. This is new guttering. We do have gutters, but it's a new kind of gutter, and they look great, as I said. Looks like new vent pieces, potentially, the rain collectors, the tomato plants, and the sunflowers, and the big barrel of debris back here, and the trailer, which, the trailer's not new, but the crates in there, and the materials in the crates are, it's really cool. This is, like, again, for people who have been dying for more proper clutter and prop pieces, this pack is gonna do it for you. It looks awesome. But yeah, it's a really cool screenshot. Not a whole lot else to say. I just wanted to mention it and show you guys all the beautiful props. And let's just go ahead now and move on to the last screenshot, day 5, or at least day 5 at the time of me recording this. And the 5th day does not disappoint. Here we are with a first look at a new animal, the Axolotls. So, right off the bat, the biggest thing that everyone has taken away from this is the fact that they are doing more of the wild morphs over the pink and clean looking domesticated morphs. But as you can clearly see, they did not just stick with that. They've actually got a wild morph on the back and a more pinkish, cleaner one, but still one that has a bit of a wild look to it with that patterning and the color, and it looks kind of mossy. These guys look like they came from the wild, and it looks like they're in a really cool environment. But yeah, this is really cool, beautiful new exhibit animal. I mean, just that face. Axolotls are so characteristic, which makes them feel right to be in this game. And a face like that, how could you not love that face? It is just adorable. I cannot wait to see these guys in action. And really, I don't have a whole lot else to say, honestly. I'm looking forward to seeing them in their tanks and doing their things. But what I will tell you guys as a little story about me, when I was younger, these guys, well, like the first time I ever saw one was in like elementary school. I saw a picture of them on the computer, and I remember it absolutely terrifying me. It scared me so bad. I was like haunted by these guys for a long time, and it's because of their gills in the back. Those weird little things that stick out behind their head, which really gives them their most characteristic look, like the defining axolotl look. Yeah, that scared me. Like it just looks kind of creepy. It's cool, but it's creepy. As time has gone on, obviously I've gotten over that because I've realized they're adorable, and especially when I like saw videos online of them just being absolute goofballs, and they're just funny. They're just honestly a characteristic salamander. And they're honestly beautiful. I'm glad I got over that, because I've honestly considered having one as a pet. I know they can be good pets, of course, because That's where usually like you see the pink and clean and cute versions, but I've held off on it just because, you know, I don't want to get a pet just for the sake of getting a pet. I want to get a pet because I'm ready to care for it for as long as it needs to be. But yeah, no, I'm cool with just looking at pictures of them online or now having them in my zoos in Planet Zoo. But that is pretty much going to be it, guys. I know there's more screenshots coming, but these are all the ones I want to talk about now that have been revealed at the moment I'm recording. But I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know which screenshot has been your favorite and which animal you're looking forward to seeing the most in your zoos. But yeah, thank you guys again so much, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.